Hey everyone, welcome back to another What If. Today we're going to be doing What If Total Drama Island had three teams. I think I saw some person do this a while ago, and it's kind of been my inspiration, so I'm going to do it. Let's just get started. Well, before we do, obviously, I just need to say Stealthy Lizards came up with that name by myself, and the team is just random selection of Killer Bass and Screaming Gophers. They mean nothing, and I've given them the extra player just because the number wouldn't go fully well divided by 3. So let's go straight into it. Obviously, in episode 1, it's just the introduction thing, so we obviously just go to episode 2. Episode 2 is where they're jumping off the cliff, so we need to find out who jumps and who doesn't. So, straight away, on the Stealthy Lizards, Courtney and Lindsay both don't jump, so that's 2, and there could be an argument that Katie doesn't jump either. Nearly got her name wrong there. Killer Bass, we know that DJ doesn't jump, and maybe Sadie. But apart from that, they all jump. Screaming Gophers, Beth doesn't jump, and that's it. So yeah, apart from that, I think that just means that the Stealthy Lizards are going to be going to elimination because they have 2, maybe even 3 to their 2 and their 1. So alright, in elimination, obviously, I think most likely it's going to be targeting the 2 that failed, definitely. So Lindsay or Courtney. I think at this point, Tyler is already kind of into Lindsay, so he's going to be campaigning to get rid of Courtney. I think this is successful, and I think Courtney's actually making it worse for herself by saying, I am a CIT over and over, annoying everyone on her team. And so due to Tyler and herself, Courtney is eliminated in the first episode of the season. Episode 3 is the Awake-a-thon. Here, we know that the best ones in canon were Gwen, Duncan, and Eva. Those were the top 3. Since none of the top 3 come from the Screaming Gophers, they're going to be going to elimination. So straight away, Noah is the likely target to be eliminated here, just because he's out fairly early, so he'd be making kind of similar comments to what he does in the Dodgeball episode, where he's like, come on guys, just stay awake, it's not that difficult, that kind of thing. And that's annoying everyone that is still awake. So once they lose the challenge, he's going to be in the fire line. I think at this point, him and Owen haven't formed that relationship they have in World Tour, so he doesn't have Owen to rely on. And so, yeah, Noah's just quickly booted. Second episode. And then we go to Dodge Brawl. Now, obviously, for the Killer Bass, Duncan is still extremely tired, and so will be still sleeping on the bleachers. Although, you could say, since Courtney's not here, he won't be woken up. I think Eva would take the initiative to wake Duncan up because she does not want to lose. So she forces him to get up. And so the Killer Bass definitely win this challenge. I think since Harold and Owen are both on separate teams here that are still competing, I think the Harold v. Owen scenario will still happen, sending the Screaming Gophers back to elimination. So here, it's a bit up in the air who would go. Heather obviously has Beth. I think Owen and Izzy are starting to bond. And even Trent and Lashana don't really have anyone, but Lashana's openly beefing with Heather. So that makes Heather want to get rid of Lashana. So I think she obviously has Beth, and I think she's able to convince Izzy, and I think Owen, to vote on Lashana. Trent, I think, would probably go with Lashana, but he's nothing he can really do about that since it's 2-on-4, so Lashana is eliminated. Okay, episode 5. So we definitely know that the Stealthy Lizards are going to win, as the best 2 performers in this challenge are on that team, so these 2 are safe. When it comes to the rest, we didn't really see much. Most likely, the Screaming Gophers are safe due to Trent's musical performance, because I think he was pretty good, wasn't he? I can't remember did he not do a song about Gwen, but even then it wouldn't be about Gwen, but I think he's just a good enough artist where it wouldn't matter, so the Killer Bass go to elimination. I think at this point, this is really between Ezekiel or Eva. Eva's been getting really on people's nerves, just due to that she's bossing everyone around, especially Duncan after what happened last episode, because I don't think he would take, well, no, not last episode, in Dodge Brawl. No, that was our last episode, what am I saying? Yeah, so Duncan's a bit annoyed. He's obviously got Jeff and DJ. I think these 3 are all together. Obviously, I think Bridget's kind of involved in this with Jeff as well. They are not fans of Eva. And Ezekiel doesn't actually say his comment because they have more guys than girls on their team, so he doesn't get voted out for being sexist. So yeah, I think Eva gets booted. Then we go to episode 6, and now the sucky outdoors. Since Katie and Sadie aren't on the same team, they wouldn't be wandering off by themselves, I don't think. So this tells me that I think it's just going to come down to which team is the smartest and is able to survive the best. Screaming Gophers, I think, would be fine. I think Trent has some common sense along with Heather. Although Izzy was tricking people as being a bear and Owen was lying about killing a bear, so that probably doesn't help things. But the rest of them, I think, would be doing fine. And the Killer Bass, I think that Duncan, Jeff, and DJ and Bridget would all be able to create stuff for Sadie and Ezekiel, so they would be fine. So most likely, I think it's going to be the Stealthy Lizards. As realistically, the only two people I could say maybe know what they're doing in this team is Gwen and Harold. So they're definitely going to elimination. So straight away, I think that alliances wise, Lindsay's kind of got a group of people. She's attracted to Justin. Tyler and her have something going on. Katie is with them because, they're similar. I think Cody's obviously with Gwen and Harold's kind of in the middle. I don't really know who they'd vote for here. I think Gwen is getting really annoyed with Cody, so I might actually want to vote him out. But I don't think she's going to go around forcing that to happen. So I reckon a whole load of these groups are just going to go for random people. I think that Tyler, Lindsay, and Katie vote for Cody just because they find him weak or something. I don't know. I think Gwen probably also votes for Cody. So although I don't know what Cody, Harold, and Justin do, it wouldn't be enough to save Cody, so Cody is eliminated. Episode 7, obviously Fear Factor. Here, we need to round up who didn't do their fears. Although Tyler did do his fear, his didn't count. Katie and Lindsay would both be hair, so they would be fine. Justin would be like not being good looking, so he would fail. I can't remember what Harold's was. He failed though, didn't he? Yeah, I think he did. Maybe I'm wrong. I might be wrong. Gwen did hers, so that's 3, maybe 2. I can't fully remember. So Sadie does hers. I think Ezekiel would do his. DJ does his, I think. Same with Duncan. Oh, Duncan wouldn't do it without Courtney's persuasion, so that's 1 fail. Bridget fails. Jeff does it. So yeah, that's 2. Then Screaming Gophers, I think they all do it. And even then, if they didn't, it doesn't really matter. So that means that the Stealthy Lizards are going to elimination again. So after voting out Cody in the previous episode, I think they've still got this group of 3. I think that Justin, who'll be similar to what he was in action, he'll be trying to create alliances. He obviously has these guys controlled, and he notices that Gwen is the only one on this team that isn't really attracted to him, so he doesn't like that. I mean, Harold, he's more interested in Justin than Gwen is, so that's why he's not going for Harold. So he goes to these guys and he wants Gwen gone. I think they're fine with that. They don't really have any objections, so Gwen is eliminated. I love the late boots out fairly early, isn't it? Well, mainly Lashana and Gwen, but Episode 8, obviously, I think this one will stay mostly the same just due to the fact that I don't think anything would stop Izzy from just throwing the challenge for her team pretty much and then getting chased away by, I forgot, like the IRA or something. So she just gets voted out. Episode 9, Deer Hunter. Obviously, I think Beth still snaps out at Heather, but it's not serious because she doesn't have Lindsay here as well. Well, that still happens. She refuses to do what Heather wants, and so she storms off. I think confides in Trent, most likely. Then we have Owen. I think he'd be fine to go with them. I think he likes them. And yeah, I'm saying that Screaming Gophers lose, by the way. And so these guys are in elimination, and I think Heather gets voted out. So pretty much all the final people are gone already. In this one, they're cooking. Beth obviously still has the Tiki Idol, so the Screaming Gophers are turning into Team Victory. But yeah, Owen eats all the food. Trent gets gets stung by bees, doesn't he? Or he's out of the challenge. It would literally just be Beth trying to do anything with the idol. It wouldn't work. So Scream Gophers go back to elimination. And I think, I think Owen actually finds out about the idol. Like, he's a bit curious about it. I don't think he's being accusatory, but then he realizes, oh, wait, that's a tiki idol. So then once Trent gets back to consciousness, Owen and Trent vote out Beth. Okay, episode 11, we have a duo challenges, which just means Owen and Trent are doing all of them. I don't think Owen is going to be killing Trent like Lindsay does, which is something, because I think Owen will probably be switching roles with Trent. So I think the Scream Gophers actually survive this time, so they're not going to elimination. I'm thinking the Stealthy Lizards definitely are, though. They're going to be harming themselves left, right, and center. So if I had to guess, I think this time, although it looks likely to be Harold, I don't think it will be, because I think Katie and Lindsay have an argument about something, which really puts a rift between the two of them. And I think she starts like going on. No, she's probably at this point whining about how she misses Sadie, even though they're so close already. But it doesn't matter for her because she's super sad. So that annoys everyone. Her and Lindsay get in an argument, and so she's now the outsider, and I think they just vote her out. Episode 12, this is where Harold rigs the votes. I don't see a point in Harold rigging the votes. I think here, since the challenge really just comes down to the last bit, I'd honestly think that Tyler makes it to the last part of the challenge. I don't think anyone else in the Stealthy Lizard does, but I think he makes it to the end, which might be enough just to survive for his team. Killer Bass, Jeff obviously makes it to the end, so I think they're fine. And Screaming Gophers, I think that Trent would make it far. Oh no, doesn't Owen make it? Does he? Yeah, he does. So it's actually down to 3, and I think honestly Tyler's the first to drop, so the Stealthy Lizards lose. At this point, though, I think that Justin realizes he can't control Lindsay with Tyler around, so he wants to get rid of Tyler to keep control on Lindsay. He obviously gets Harold involved with this pretty quickly, and I don't think Harold has anything against it. So these two vote for Tyler, and Lindsay and Tyler vote for Harold, and I think Harold wins in a tiebreaker with his mad skills and everything. Alright, episode 13, with the last one before the final. In this one, I think that, I think Killer Bass go to elimination here. Maybe not 100%, and I may be just trying to save some of the Stealthy Lizards and Screaming Gophers, but I think it does happen. If it's very likely that it's Sadie or Ezekiel. I mean, they've gone to so little that Ezekiel, first boot, is about to make it to merge. Because honestly, I do think Sadie goes here. I think she's now super upset, just like how Katie was missing her. Now she misses Katie because she's not even here. So that gets on these guys' nerves enough where Ezekiel manages not to slip his mouth and gets through to the merge. Okay, we've made it to the merge now with 3 on the Stealthy Lizards, 5 on the Killer Bass, and 2 on the Screaming Gophers. So, Killer Bass have the advantage if they were to stick together, which obviously they won't. Episode 14, no elimination. Episode 15, we've got the 2 returnees coming back, and I think those would still be Eva and Izzy, as they're both eliminated fairly early. Eva does last a little longer, but not enough to consider her not a returnee. So, again, no Lashana, so that means that Eva wins the challenge. So she's immune and can't be voted out. She's obviously she's obviously for some reason holding a massive grudge against her Bass females. And once again, the only Bass female is Bridget. So Bridget is getting gunned after by Eva. I think Eva is smart enough to know that she can convince people like Lindsay, and I think she does that. I think she can probably get Izzy, Owen, and even Justin, because he's not very smart either. Trent's kind of in the middle. I think he'll side with the other, and also, I forgot to mention, Eva gets Ezekiel. So that's 1, 2, 3, 6, 2, 5. Obviously, Duncan didn't bully Harold, so Harold is possibly going to go into their side, but I don't know. I think Harold doesn't really get an alliance, and he's kind of just in the middle. So Bridget gets voted out by Eva somehow being able to manipulate people. You wouldn't expect it, but it happened. Episode 16. In this one, Obviously, no Heather to stitch up Trent, so I don't think he gets voted out here. It's all up to pure luck on who gets the immunity. Since who's in this challenge originally? Trent, Duncan, Jeff, DJ, Owen, Izzy? Yep. So they're not going to be getting the... Oh, and Lindsay. So it's between Harold, Justin, Eva, and Ezekiel. And just for plot armor sake, I'll say it goes to Eva. So she's safe again, and she kind of has a group going on, I think. She gets the same people together, although she doesn't even have a clear target this time. I think now she'll just be going for her Bass teammates. I think most likely she'll want to go for Duncan because she's still annoyed at him nearly losing the challenge in Dodgeball, which doesn't make a lot of sense because they still demolished that challenge, but she holds grudges like that, so let's just say what's going on. I think they're able to convince Harold this side to go with them, but it's a bit too late because obviously I think the guys... Oh, actually, no. The guys form a guys alliance, so that's 4 there. I think they include Trent this time, that's 5. I think they can get Harold in on this, and that's 6. And then that would be 6 to their 5. And I think they decide to vote for Justin, because he has an influence on pretty much all of them. Well, not Izzy or Eva, but Ezekiel and Lindsay. That's the main thing. So those 6 vote for Justin. So Justin is gone. Episode 17. The people that escape or snitch, I think, would probably be... I don't know. I think Harold would manage to escape from Chef. I feel like he just has a random hiding spot that keeps him around. And I think that... Who else? You know what? No. I think, honestly, just Harold, because I don't think anyone else would be snitching, really. Actually, no. Lindsay would still find DJ and Owen. So Lindsay gets immunity too. So here, the guys are definitely going to want to be taking a shot on Eva, and that's exactly what they do. Eva gets eliminated, 6 votes on her. This is where the guys disband. I think Duncan has started to have enough of Harold, because now they are living in the same place. So Harold is now out of the guys' alliance, really. He's on the outsides. I think Owen, he is still in the guys' alliance, but he's kind of a bit skeptical because he wants to keep Izzy around. I think Duncan now wants to target Harold. And since Harold is... Obviously, since this challenge is not based on vote, Harold might survive. I think here, if Lindsay built such a great bike for Heather, she's definitely going to be doing good enough for herself. So Lindsay wins immunity. Ezekiel definitely doesn't cross the finish line. Same with Izzy. She's on her gallivanting like she was with Lashana. I think that Harold would fail also. I think that Owen fails in the original, Duncan fails in the original, DJ fails in the original, Jeff fails in the original, so that leaves Trent. And honestly, I do think Trent would make it. So Trent is voted out by the technicality that gets Lindsay out in the original. Episode 19, and it's obviously the killer one. There is no Heather to scare DJ, but even without Heather, I think he would get the most frightened by the killer if he actually even interacted with them. So it means that no matter how loud everyone else is, because I reckon Ezekiel would be pretty loud, same with Lindsay, but I think DJ just tops them completely. So DJ is eliminated. So episode 20, now this is the first time they get an actual vote in a long time. And since Duncan is still targeting Harold, here, I can't remember who wins. I'm pretty... Oh, it was Gwen, obviously, and Gwen's not here. I think here, honestly, I'm going to give the win to Duncan. I can't remember how well he does in canon. I don't think he does awfully. He might have honestly been last. I can't really remember. But I'll just give it to him because I don't think he would have been targeted anyway, so it doesn't really make a difference. He's obviously targeting Harold, I think. These 3 go with Harold, and I think Owen convinces Izzy, because I think at this point they're, at that dating stage, to go along with it and vote for Harold too. So Harold is eliminated. Episode 21, the duos. I'm going to mix up the duos a little. We'll go... Actually, we might just keep them as it is. I think at this point, it's very likely... I don't think that these guys are getting a point, so it's not going to go down to a tie. Between Duncan and Jeff and Owen and Izzy, I think it's very likely Duncan and Jeff win, so these two are immune. Any of the other four, since Duncan and the others came up with the principle of voting out Jeff because he was too likable, I think the same thing at this point honestly happens to Owen. I think that Duncan goes to Jeff and says, Jeff, I know we're in an alliance with Owen, but he's too likable and he'll win in the end. I think Jeff, although doesn't want to, knows he's right and goes along with it. So those two vote for Owen, and I think they're easily able to convince at least one of the two over here, because these two are pretty much getting dragged to the end. So there goes Owen. Episode 22. This would be just the likability contest. I think here it's most likely Lindsay that gets dragged out by possibly Katie, because they were on the same team, obviously. Probably not. I think she's forgiven Lindsay at this point, so I think she'd be talking about her fondly. Same with Sadie, as they're the ones that started the Lashana train in the original. I think Beth might go along with it as well, or anyone that was on her team just in general. But Lindsay is gone. Episode 23, obviously non-elimination, first one of those in a long time. So we go to episode 24. This one is Boys v Girls, which doesn't work, but we'll split up the teams and we'll do Ezekiel and Duncan versus Izzy and Jeff. I think here, honestly, Izzy and Jeff win. I don't think they have the same cunning tactics Gwen and Heather had against Duncan and Owen, but I think they're still able to pull the win, because maybe Izzy just makes a run for it, like takes the stuff and runs away. None of them know where Izzy is, and then once Jeff makes it back, he finds out that Izzy was already waiting there with Chef, so they win. That would then mean it's between Ezekiel and Duncan, and since Chef picks Duncan in the original, I think he'll most likely pick Duncan again, so Duncan is eliminated in fourth. Episode 25, I Triple Dog Dare You. I can see Ezekiel and Jeff. Well, honestly, all three of these people I could see going for ages. Honestly, I don't think there's a single one these guys wouldn't do. Genuinely, I don't know what I can say. These guys are probably the best three in the whole cast for doing this challenge. But if I had to pick one person that I think would go out first, I think it would honestly have to be Jeff. I don't think he would do the bald one, but maybe he would. I'm not sure, but I don't. It's difficult to call, but I'm actually going to switch it. I think I'd rather have Jeff in the finale, and so for that reason, I'm going to say Ezekiel goes out. Maybe it's not realistic. I just couldn't pick one of the three that would fail first. Definitely not Izzy, though. She was 100% safe. Episode 26. Obviously, it's the final race. I think most likely Jeff is going to be in the lead for the majority, but as I say, I think Izzy will do some crazy flips or something. She'll be up the pole super quickly, which will help her. She'll run across the balance little plank. She'll just pretty much storm through the whole challenge. Jeff obviously I think does well, but I don't think he's good enough to catch Izzy, so Izzy wins this version of Total Drama Island if they had 3 teams. Thank you all so much for watching, and consider liking and subscribing if you enjoyed. And before I go, I'll give you a rundown of the elimination order. We start off with Courtney, then Noah, then Lashana, then Eva, then Cody, then Gwen, then Izzy, then Heather, then Beth, then Katie, then Tyler, then Sadie. Then we merge, and our first bit of the merge is Bridget, then Justin, then Eva, then Trent, then DJ, then Harold, then Owen, then Lindsay, then Duncan, then Ezekiel, second Jeff, and first Izzy. Alright, see you all in the next one. Goodbye.